Hey everyone. So I just had to reach behind you where my laptop is and turn down my music because I didn't want to get kicked off of Facebook for playing music. I'm listening to Chloe Jane right now, Superstar. I love this song. Anyway, so I wanted to pop on here on this fabulous Monday. It is January 29th, and I have been doing a lot of internal growth, I guess you could say. Not necessarily soul searching, but more of internal growth. And every book and every podcast I've been listening to and reading seems to have the same structure, the same basis, right? And I've noticed it's been gratitude. And I realized that we live in a society that's so focused on the lack. We have comparisonitis where we see other people being successful or, this, that, and the other. And you're like, you immediately think for yourself, like, why can't I have that? I need that. I want that. Why is my life so bad? For the longest time, I never thought I was going to get married again. And I would see like my friends getting engaged and other people on social media getting engaged. And I'm like, that's not fair. What do I not have that they have? Or, people that were able to get out of debt. And I would say the same thing. Like, am I not deserving of being out of debt? Am I not deserving of having a savings account? Am I not deserving of having any money to myself? And I would always just have this really lack of mentality. And so I've actually officially been a coach for 6 years now after Saturday. And ever since I became a coach, I've been on this journey of growth, of internal growth, of strengthening myself internally and externally. And I realized like it was all about my mindset. My mindset was the first thing and the most important thing that needed to change, because what we focus on, we get, right? Just like if you scold a child over and over again and you only point out the bad things that this child is doing, that's all they're going to do because that's the only attention they're getting from you, right? But if you praise the kid and say, good job doing this and good job doing that, and I appreciate you and I appreciate you doing this, what are they going to do more of? They're going to do more of the things that you're focusing on. Same thing happens internally. That when you start focusing on the good things around you, good morning, Nikki. When you start focusing on the things around you, then you start opening up your life for more good things. Now, I'm going to tell you guys how I know that this works. It's crazy how this works, okay? So if you've ever followed me on social media for more than 24 hours, and I know I say that quite often, but I'm very repetitive on my morning routine, on my daily routine, on things that I do because I know it works, and it's all about structure, it's all about consistency. Because it doesn't matter what you do every once in a while, it matters what you do on a daily. Okay, so one of the things that I do in my morning routine is I express gratitude. I first write my monthly goals that I'm working towards, and I write them in I am statements. And I also express gratitude for the things in my life that I am thankful for, that I'm showing appreciation for, right? So August 9th, of 2017, I put my house on the market, right? We had new floors done. We had the new roof done. We did painting. We did everything to spruce up this house. And I knew my friends and neighbors and everyone was selling their house right off the market. Within a week, had offers in. Okay? Well, my house sat on the market. And it sat, and it sat, and it sat. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my house? What is wrong with my house? Like, here I was sinking into this lack of mindset. And I'm thinking like, what is wrong with my house? Why isn't anyone wanting it? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? All of this negative thought, right? All of these negative thoughts when I sit here and I preach and I tell my team and I tell the girls that are in my challenge groups and I tell my friends and I tell my fiance, I tell everybody, like, you got to stay focused on the positive. You got to think a positive mindset. But here myself, I wasn't practicing what I was preaching. I was in this lack of mindset thinking everyone else can sell their house, but something's wrong with me. I can't sell my house. Maybe I'm not meant to live anywhere else besides the area that I'm living in. So one day came where I was like, something needs to change. I have no control over the sale of my house. You know, I had an amazing real estate agent. Our friend who's a contractor did amazing work on the flooring, the roof. We did great work on painting. Everything was perfect, right? And I realized like I had to bless and release and let that go. I can no longer control it. But what I started doing is controlling the things that I can control, which was I was expressing gratitude for my home. And I started saying things like, I am thankful for having a house that I'm able to sell. And in my goals, I was also saying, I am going to sell my home this month to the best family that was fit for my home. I started putting in positive changes in my mindset because those are the things that I can control. And I was expressing gratitude, like I am grateful for having a shelter over my head right now. I am grateful for still having a home that me and my son could live in. I am grateful that, you know, at the time my mom was living with me and we did transition from me and my son and my dog Lola, we transitioned from our home to my fiance's condo, and my mom still lived in my home. So I was expressing gratitude that my mom still had a home, that my mom still had a place to live in. And you know what? As soon as I started doing that, we had an offer on our home. And it was so much, like it was out of nowhere. We didn't expect it. Like my real estate agent was doing open houses and stuff and wasn't getting a lot of traction. It was rainy, Washington, you know, like that's its main jam, the Seattle Mist. But then all of a sudden we had this offer and it just seemed to work out beautifully. And it was because, and I solely believe this, it was because I expressed gratitude and I changed my mindset on the whole situation. The same thing goes for any area of your life. I know a lot of us, and you know, you can come here and you can be engaging in my video, or you can keep it to yourself, but I know we all have had a lack of mindset. You know, why am I not successful in my business? Why am I not successful in my own health and fitness journey? Why am I not looking like that? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not getting this money? And what it is you just need to change your mindset and be grateful for the things that you have. Because I promise you, the things that you have around you right now, if you don't express gratitude for those things right now, you're taking them for granted, and as soon as those things are ripped away from you, you will realize how much you appreciated those things. As small or as big as they are, it doesn't matter. And here's the thing. So I was just listening to, if you follow me on Instagram stories or my Facebook stories, I just shared this podcast by Hal Elrod. And this man talked about Mr. Thank You, okay? And actually, this is something that I want to start doing. But what he did was he realized that there was so many things that people do for others, or that people just do in general, that go unappreciated, right? And anything from getting up in the morning and going to the coffee stand and getting your morning coffee, and then going to work, and then someone holding a door open for you, or holding the elevator, or, you know, going to the doctor's and him fitting you in, or anything, you know, like it could be as mundane as your wife making you coffee in the morning, or as mundane as your child picking up his toys without being asked. Like, so many things go unnoticed, right? And so what he started doing is he made this project called Mr. Thank You. And what he did was every single day, he made a point to write out 5 thank you cards. Because it's one thing to say it to somebody or to write something down. Like in my journal, I say, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. But it's another thing to express gratitude, express appreciation to somebody, especially when they least expect it, right? Especially when they're doing those mundane things that they do every single day. So what he started to do was he started writing 5 thank you cards to people every single day. And it was always a new person. He started with the barista at the Starbucks, right? And then he's, you know, the barber shop, he did it for his wife, for his children. He did it for everybody around him. And there was this story that was on there And it seriously made me tear up. He said he was on a flight. It was a 5-hour flight. He was on Southwest Airlines. And actually, it was one of those moments where, like, he did this for an entire year. And we know that if we start doing things every single day, like we're consistent in doing something, it's going to get mundane and we're going to get bored, right? So he always found a new way of making something exciting so you don't get bored. Just like in a relationship, you've got to keep it exciting so you don't get bored and then start nitpicking on the other person. So what he did was he brought a folder and he brought all these thank you cards, right? And he wrote a thank you cards to each of the pilots and to each of the flight attendants. And on the folder, he said that he wanted to start a project called Mr. Thank You. And he wanted to pass this folder around with all these thank you cards in. And for those who wanted to participate, either sign their name or say a little thank you, thank you to the flight attendants, thank you to the pilots. This is something, obviously, it's something that you've wanted to do for a really long time. You take away a lot of time away from your own personal life and your own family to make sure that people get to where they need to go safely. And so he said he wasn't sure how this was going to happen. He was a complete stranger. The pilots and the flight attendants were complete strangers. He didn't know who was going to participate in this, right? So he went up to the front of the plane, and there was these two little old ladies sitting at the front of the plane, and he tried to explain to them what was going to happen, right? Gave him the folder, and he said, as soon as you're done, pass it back. And so he went back, and he didn't know what was going to happen, and he sat there, and he watched the folder. 3 minutes go by, a folder gets passed back to the row behind him. 30 minutes later, he sees it like halfway down. And the entire plane, this folder gets passed around to the entire plane, right? Then he goes to the bathroom in the back. And he's standing there waiting to use the bathroom. And he sees the folder in the back row, and he sees all these thank you cards, and they're completely filled up. And he gets so excited. He's like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so amazing. Like, these pilots and these flight attendants are going to be shown so much appreciation, because how often do they get thank yous, or do they get shown appreciation for their hard work and their safety that they provide for everybody? And so the plane landed, everyone was getting off the plane, and he sat there and he waited for the folder to come back to him, and it never came. And he was like, oh my gosh, what happened to the folder? So he went back to the back of the plane, and he saw the guy that originally had it in the back, and he asked him, and he was like, what happened to that folder that you had? And he was like, oh, I gave it to the flight attendant. And he's like, oh man, surprise, it's fine as long as they still had it. So he went to the flight attendant, and he's like, did you open that brown folder? And he was like, oh no, I thought it was garbage, so I threw it away. And so this guy that's telling the story said, this is what I did. We got the whole plane together to express gratitude, to show appreciation. And the flight attendant's like, oh my gosh, oh man. And so he ran out, because he already had dumped the garbage. He ran out, grabbed the garbage bag, started, pulling through them, found the folder. It was soaking wet because it had everyone's cups of water and, drinks in it. And he brought it back up, and he opened it, and there was hundreds of thank yous and all this appreciation, right? And so he ended up taking it to the pilot and stuff, and they were just beaming as soon as they saw him walk off the tarmac and into the airport. They were just completely beaming. But he said the best part of this was a dad and his son came up to him after they got off the plane and stuff, and he was like, were you the man that started this, Mr. Thank You? And he said, I was. And he said, I want to tell you thank you for doing this, because what was so special about this moment was that my son was with me, and he got to show appreciation, and he got to see what other strangers could do together. And he was just like me being a mom, and me having a son, like this, not only gives me goosebumps, it makes me teary-eyed, as you can kind of tell. But just like moments like that, when you're able to show appreciation to someone, and you're able to show it, and your child is sitting there watching you, so they not only see that, hey, mom and dad are doing this, but this is something that I can do too. It's huge. And I think that we take for granted things in our lives, especially the mundane. And we take for granted the things that, yeah, we wish we had more of, but why not be grateful for the things that we do have right now and how much of what we do have right now? And the universe will provide it. The universe will open up and say, you know what, if you're grateful for this, let me give you some more. But instead, we become that lack of mentality and we just make ourselves worse. When we think of the lack, all we do is get the lack, right? If you focus on the negative, all you're going to see, your perception of everything is going to be ugly, is going to be bad, is going to be negative. You're going to be pointing out everything wrong in your life, from your car needs gas, to you're stubbing your toe, to you're out of coffee in the morning. Everything is just going to be a shit show. But when you change your mindset and you start looking for good, you start intentionally looking for good. Like that's what he did. He had to go out and be completely intentional about who was going to get those 5 thank you cards every day. He had to look for the good in people. Now, could you imagine how different your life would be if that was your intention every single day? If your intention was to look for the good in all around you, what would change in your life? I want to start doing something similar to this because I think not only is it going to benefit me, but it's going to benefit those around me and show them how much I value them. So this is something that I'm going to start doing. I'm not going to challenge you guys to do the same, but I want to challenge you to really think about it. Think about being intentional with appreciation, being intentional with gratitude, and how different your life can be if you simply just changed that little part of your day, that little part with the purpose of being intentional every single day, with looking for the good in people, looking for what good is around you, looking for things that you can be grateful of, looking for things that you can show appreciation for. That is my challenge for you. Just think about it. Think about the difference that it can make in your life. Well, I hope you guys have a happy Monday. And if you want to check out that podcast, I will add it below so you guys can check it out because it's freaking phenomenal. But I love you all. Hope you're having a great day and have a great week.